Aloha, namaste. My name is Janapati Das, and we are here together for the Bhagavad Gita class, the Bhagavad Gita as it is. We are reading, entitled the Bhagavad Gita as it is, by His Divine Grace, as we approach in the next couple days, tomorrow actually, the disappearance of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And so we celebrate the appearance and the disappearance of the great devotee of Krishna, the great lover of Krishna. When we thank Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada from the bottom of our heart, we offer our respectful obeisances to him, and we are eternally grateful for our Grand Master Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our grandfather, spiritual master, who brought Krishna consciousness to the West in this darkened world, brought the chanting of Krishna's names and ignited love for Krishna around the world, and delivered to us our dear spiritual master, Jagadguru Siddhaswarapananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, who I take the moment to glorify and celebrate. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and Jagadguru Siddhaswarapananda Paramahamsa Srila Prabhupada, two giants, lovers of God, pure devotees of Krishna, cultivators of true knowledge in this age of Kali Yuga. We are so eternally grateful for. And we are going to start with chapter 5, which we did a read through last time. But first, let me, as instructed by our spiritual masters, please engage in chanting Krishna's names with me. Thank you very much. Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Kodakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pristaya Te Namo Siddha Swarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Kodakaruna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Pristaya Te Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Chinamine Bhadrashri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Jagannath Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Bhagavata Bhadrashri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sri Vasudeva Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Melody there a little bit. I was born in the darkness of ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes. With the torch of knowledge, I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, we have last time read through our chapter 5, which is entitled The Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. So, karma is activities, and karma is subdivided into, it's an activity. It actually is often misunderstood what this word means. There's not a very clear understanding, like most things that come out of the Vedic tradition. People have a very kind of mixed or misconception about things. Karma means activities. So in the material world, we have to act. And what Krishna was telling Arjuna was that there is no real renunciation, actually, in the sense of acting in the material world under your own guidance or for your own purposes, for your own pleasure. Real renunciation means to give up those things, to understand that everything animate and inanimate is already owned and controlled by Krishna, and we should understand the allotted quota that we have because of our karmic reactions. And what we do with those talents, as Krishna was stressing to Arjuna, he has talents in fighting. He was saying, you're not really a yogi. You want to go off and be a yogi, and you have this vision of being a renunciate. But I would like you to actually fight in this battle because it's a righteous war and this is what I want you to do. And we're going to get more into this, what this means. Yoga, of course, means union with God, doing activities in the service of God, in connection with God. So karma yoga is doing the activities, action in Krishna consciousness, right? And thinking about Krishna and serving Krishna. Text 1. Arjuna uvacha sanyasham karmanam Krishna punaryogam cha shamsasi yachrena tayorekam tanme bruhi shunishitam. Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said, sannyasam, renunciation, karmanam, of all activities, Krishna, O Krishna, punaha, again, yogam, devotional service, cha, also, shamyashi, you are praising, yat, which, shreya, is beneficial, etayoho, of these two, ekam, one, tat, that, may unto me, bruhi, please tell, shuni shitam, definitely. Translation, text 1. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all, you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? So once again, Arjuna is approaching his spiritual master, Krishna, Shri Krishna, with serious questions about the dilemma that was faced. He's seeing having Krishna unveil this whole truth of the Bhagavad Gita by asking very intelligent questions. He's asking you know, is it better to work to be a renunciate, or to renounce work, or to work into devotion? Because you're telling me to do both, or inaction and action. Purport. In the 5th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that work in devotional service is better than dry mental speculation. Devotional service is easier than the latter because, being transcendental in nature, it frees one from reaction. In the 2nd chapter, preliminary knowledge of the soul and its entanglement in the material body were explained. How to get out of this material engagement by Buddha yoga or devotional service was also explained therein. So we had chapter 1, right? The setting of the story. Arjuna saw the situation, basically laid out all the reasons why he thinks it's better that he becomes a renunciate and go off and fight. Chapter 2, Krishna explains you're not the body, you're not the mind, you are a spirit soul, and the spirit soul is currently caged in the material world because of its activities. How you get out is by engaging in service to Krishna. This was preliminary. This is why it was called Contents of the Gita Summarized. 3rd chapter was explained that a person who is situated on the platform of knowledge no longer has any duties to perform. So, pretty self-explanatory. 3rd chapter, the first touching on karma yoga. And in the 4th chapter, the Lord told Arjuna that all kinds of sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. So that the transcendental knowledge, all the sacrifice works culminates in knowledge, spiritual knowledge, transcendental knowledge. Therefore, by simultaneously stressing the importance of both work and devotion and inaction and knowledge, Krishna had perplexed Arjuna and confused his determination. Whether or not Arjuna was confused, or whether he was doing this as for people who would become confused. So there's no doubt in anyone's mind later on about this. Krishna is going to clear this up. You know, what is better? Krishna understands that renunciation and knowledge involve cessations of all kinds of work performed as sense activities. But if one performs work in devotional service, then how is work stopped? So he was seeing that there was action and inaction. Right, I guess it was the word, action and inaction. So, action and inaction. What it was saying was that we were ceasing the works of activities, karma done in service of oneself, one's pleasures, one's desires, and work done in the service of Krishna. So that is explained, that we will get into, of course, is that the activities done in service of Krishna does not accumulate further karmic reaction and actually burns off karmic reaction. I think as we did talk a little bit about in the last chapter 4, I think there was some references of burning firewood to ashes and whatnot. So Arjuna, okay, so in other words, he thinks that sannyasam, or renunciation and knowledge, should be altogether free from all kinds of activities, because work and renunciation appear to him to be incompatible. And so here that may come up in people's mind. How can you do some stuff? There's the Buddhist idea of like not doing activities, just, do not act in the material world. Problem is you're a spirit soul. It's easy to say that for a Buddhist, because the Buddhist believes that there is no soul, there's no individual there. So the non-activity is some sort of void, except status, which doesn't really make any sense, because the living entity is existent, whether they're in zazen or meditation upon the void. There's somebody meditating. There's a living entity trying to experience what it's to be void. And that's why it's very difficult, because we're not void. We're active. We're active by nature. We have to have some kind of activity, which is why we engage in work for Krishna. Makes it much easier. It appears not to have understood that work and full knowledge is non-reactive, and is therefore the same as inaction. There are no reactions to our activity to Krishna, in service of Krishna and our spiritual master, does not accumulate material reactions like other activities in the material world does. He inquires, therefore, whether he should cease work altogether or work in full knowledge. Text 2. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Sanyasya Karma Yogascha Nishresh Yasha Kardavubao Tayos tu Karma Sanyashat Karma Yogo Vishishate. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, the personality of God had said, Sanyasya, renunciation of work, Karma Yoga, work and devotion, Cha, also, Nishreyasha Karal, leading to the path of liberation, Ubal, both, Tayo, of the two, but, Karma Sanyasat, in comparison to the renunciation of fruit of work, Karma Yoga, work and devotion, Vishishate, is better. The Blessed Lord said, the renunciation of work and devotion are both good for liberation, but of the two, work and devotional service is better than the renunciation of work. Purport. Fruit of activity seeking sense gratification are cause for material bondage. So we have this analogy that comes from the Svetasvatara Upanishad of the two birds. We've talked about it before, right? One bird is the super soul, standing on the branch waiting for us to turn around, while the Jivatma, spirit soul, is busily engaged in eating of the fruit of material fruit of activities, and engrossed and trapped in that activity. So it is a bondage, right? It keeps us locked to the samsara wheel of birth and death. The activities accumulate new seeds of karmic reactions. The karmic reactions require a body, some kind of body and presence in the material world to pay off those good and bad karmic reactions. As long as one is engaged in activities aimed at improving the standard of bodily comfort, one is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. So this is, in the Sri Ishopanishad, they refer to this as the culture of nescience. The culture of nescience, of darkness, right? We cultivate this darkness world. So we are in the illusion that we are the body and we are the mind, and that our activity, because we're the body and mind, we have to engage in activities to try to better our sense enjoyment. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. This is what our whole culture is actually based upon. As Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says, 99.9% of people are engaged in this kind of activity, and it is a perpetual bondage. He keeps us in we come into a human form of life, we act in this way, we have to devolve to a lower species of life because of that activity. Whereas if we take the proper use of inquiry of the spirit soul into the matters of why they're suffering and what they need to do to resolve that and solve that problem, they will just continue to transmigrate. One is sure to transmigrate to different types of bodies, thereby continuing material bondage perpetually. And when I say perpetually, many of us have been in this material world, going up and down for who knows how long. But fortunately, we have been the spiritual masters, and I stress, of course, my own spiritual master, but of course, with the disappearance of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the anniversary coming tomorrow, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada brought the torch of knowledge over the seas of the material world, and literally over the seas, and as an ripe old age in his 70s, leaving his beloved land of Vrindavan, Krishna, with the land where Krishna was sported, and many of his godbrothers were there, and just spending the rest of their life in contemplation upon scriptures, and but because he wanted to be pleasing to his spiritual master, which is the key, he sacrificed everything and went on the boat, and his spiritual master said, bring Krishna consciousness to the people of the West. And so he did, and he had a heart attack going across the boat on this barge for months, coming into the dead of winter of the United States with very little money and only one contact, managed to, over so many years, just spread Krishna consciousness not only through the United States, but through Europe, Africa, Asia, Latin America, all over the world. To this day, there are people chanting all over Krishna's, all over the world. It's amazing. So this is our great fortune, if we can come into contact with this information, with cultivation of knowledge, and to cultivate that knowledge in our life, we can break this bondage of material reincarnation. Srimad Bhagavatam confirms this as follows: Nunam pramata kurute vikarma yadindriya pritaya aprinoti nasadu manye atantmano yamachanapi kleshada ashadeha parabhavastavad aboda jato yavana jiginashata atma tatvam yavat kliyas tavadidam mano vai karmatmakam yena shali lila bandaha evam mana karma vasham prayunte avidjayatmani upadhi yamanane mane pritir na yavan mai yavasudeva na muchate de yogena tabat. Whew. People are mad after sense gratification. I read that earlier. I just was like, that is a great title. Just a great, I would even write a song. People are mad after sense gratification. That you can see pretty clearly. People are mad after sense gratification. And they want it, they need it, and they are crazy because of it. Some of them are very crazy. And as we've learned in the Bhagavad Gita, while contemplating the objects of the senses, one develops lust, right? The desire, becoming mad for it. From such lust, anger arises, right? And we see that too well. People are mad after sense gratification, and they do not know that this present body, which is full of miseries, is a result of one's fruitive activities in the past. So this being in ignorance, just engaging in this activity, not realizing that what we've gotten right now is because of our activities in the past. What we're doing right now is going to cultivate that material cultivation of nescience and give us bondage into a future body, which we will have to pay off. Although this body is temporary, it is always giving one trouble in many ways. We know that's so true, too. Even if we're young, we always have problems. We break our legs, we wipe out, we get hit by cars, get colds and flus and COVID and all these things that happen. And then when our body gets older, well, that's a whole other thing, We experience all kinds of things. Things start to pop up. My body got cancer. I had to go through radiation treatment, which was unpleasant, and that's caused problems. You took the cancer away, but it left other problems. Therefore, to act for sense gratification is not good. It's not that we don't enjoy things through our senses, but we offer our senses in the service of Krishna. So, as it said in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and I'm reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, but I'll reference how I'm thinking of his name. But anyway, there was a great king, and many great kings who did that, who actually gave everything in their senses. They would smell the tulsi leaves that they offered to Krishna's feet. They would taste the food that they offered to Krishna. They would use their mouth in the praises, in the chanting of Krishna's names. They would hear other people chanting Krishna's names, and so on and so on. So this is a great way to utilize your senses instead of sense gratification, the gratification of Krishna's senses, and then we enjoy the prasadam from which we've offered. One is considered to be a failure in life as long as he makes no inquiry about the nature of work for fruitive results. For as long as one is engrossed in the consciousness of sense gratification, one has to transmigrate from one body to another. Although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. And our dear spiritual masters are so kind that they brought the names of Krishna, which is like the mature fruit of knowledge, and gave it to us, said here, and if we had any intelligence and we were not the foolish, as they say, throwing pearls to the swine, where the swine are like rolling around in the mud and they're like, they don't know the value of the pearls. If we said, yes, okay, I will take that, even though I am the most fallen, if I chant these names of Krishna, then I can develop my love for Krishna. Only then one can have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence. So that's from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, 4th to 6th verse. Therefore, jnana, or knowledge that one is not this material body but spirit soul, is not sufficient for liberation. So that's a very important point, that you can know that that's the beginning of spiritual life, but you have to act upon it. And this is why Krishna was being asked by Arjuna, to give up, something. One has to understand certain knowledge, but also has to act upon that knowledge in order to, you have to act in spiritual life. You have to be active. You have to take the instructions of your spiritual master. One has to act in the status of spirit soul, otherwise there is no escape from material bondage. Action in Krishna consciousness is not, however, action on the fruitive platform. Activities performed in full knowledge strengthen one's advancement in real knowledge. So it is the activities by the instructions that we're given, the knowledge that we are received from our spiritual master, from Krishna, from scripture, and we act upon those, we apply those in our lives, we instruct those to other people. That in truth strengthens our advancement, gives us more vision, opens our heart, clears the heart of the dust, so that we can actually understand the true knowledge, the real, not the true knowledge, but to understand the knowledge of Bhakti Yoga even deeper. Without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. Krishna is telling Arjuna that just by going off and being a renunciate is not enough. It's not necessary, but it's also not enough. Unless Krishna were directly instructing him, go off and meditate in the forest, But that was not what he was doing. He was wanting him to fight in the battle, fight as a warrior, not as a yogi. But actually being a true yogi, really, he was a real yogi by fighting in the service of Krishna. Without Krishna consciousness, mere renunciation of fruitive activities does not actually purify the heart of a conditioned soul. So it's not enough to just say I'm going to give up stuff, give up material, because the desire to own and control is still there. It's not, we don't focus our desires to serve Krishna, to our desires to serve Krishna from our desires to renounce. So as we attach ourselves to Krishna, the renunciation of material things becomes easier to deal with because we are having a higher taste. As long as the heart is not purified, one has to work on the fruitive platform. But action in Krishna consciousness automatically helps one escape the result of fruitive activities so that one need not descend to the material platform. Therefore, action in Krishna consciousness is always superior to renunciation, which always entails a risk of falling. So there are a lot of times, you have these yogis, and there's a lot of cases where the yogis are engaging in very severe austerities. They're giving up such pain to their body, and they're not eating nice foods or anything like that. But the desire is still there. So then, some great heavenly creature, beautiful heavenly creature comes along, and the sage is agitated and falls down from his renunciation. Renunciation without Krishna consciousness is incomplete, as is confirmed by Srila Rupa Goswami in his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. That's the nectar of devotion. We'll see about, maybe I'll do a class, read through that. So beautiful. I'd recommend that. Translated by purported upon by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prapanchika taya budya hari sambandhi vastunaha mumushubi parityago varagyavan falgu katyate. Renunciation by persons eager to achieve liberation of things which are related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, though they are material, is called incomplete renunciation. Renunciation is complete when it is in the knowledge that everything in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over everything. That was the Sri Ishopanishad, Mantra 1. Then where is the question of renunciation? One who knows that everything is Krishna's property is always situated in renunciation. So we've renounced things because we accept, okay, Krishna is, we don't say like, oh, Krishna gave me this much money. I was able to get, because of my karmic reaction, Krishna allowed it, so I had this much money, this house, this family, and I could be like, oh, I'm just going to renounce it all because it belongs to me. But it doesn't belong to you. Everything belongs to Krishna. We may have come into possession of things temporarily. Krishna is giving us that opportunity, saying, here, these are my things. You can use them in my service to give me your love and your devotion. And so then when you know that, when you know you're not like thinking, I'm giving up my car, or I'm giving up my family, or I'm giving up my, what does that mean? What is my, it's mine? It's not mine. One should understand to whom they belong, right? We understand our quota. It's our quota given to us temporarily. It doesn't even belong to us while we have it. If it belonged to us, we would be able to keep it, but we can't keep it. Eventually we have to give it up. Since everything belongs to Krishna, everything should be employed in the service of Krishna. This perfect form of action in Krishna consciousness is far better than any amount of artificial renunciation by a sannyasi of the Mayavadi school. So false renunciation, like I'm not going to touch that money because it's going to contaminate me. It'll be my money, and then I'll want to, this and that and whatever. It's like text 3. Ganeya sa nityan sanyasi yona devesti na kankshati nirdvandavo hi maha baho sukham bandyat pramuchate. Ganeya should be known. Sa he nicha always. Sannyasi renouncer. Yaha who. Na never. Devesti abhors. Na nor. Kankshati desires. Nirdvandvaha free from all dualities. He certainly. Mahabaho almighty armed one. Sukham happily. Bandyat from bondage. Pramuchate completely liberated. Translation. One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known as to be always renounced. So it's like whatever comes of our activities, we're not attached to it. We're not like, oh my God, this terrible thing that's happening. We realize that's karmic reaction from what we've done. Krishna's mercy for all that we know to remind us we can take it. We can put things into perspective because of it. Use it in the service of Krishna by educating people about it. We get good things, material things. We can use those in Krishna's service. We're not like, oh, wow, I got to get more of that, Everything is done for Krishna. One who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always a renouncer because he feels neither hatred nor desire for the results of his actions. Such a renouncer dedicated to the transcendental loving service of the Lord is fully qualified in knowledge because he knows his constitutional position is in his relationship with Krishna. He knows fully well that Krishna is the whole and that he is a part and parcel of Krishna. Yeah, the invocation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is the complete whole. And all the emanations come from them are also of the complete whole. They are also complete in themselves. So even though we are part and parcel of Krishna, we are complete in ourselves in relationship to Krishna. Such knowledge is perfect because it is qualitatively and quantitatively correct. The concept of oneness with Krishna is incorrect because the part cannot be equal to the whole. So to say that Krishna and the part and parcel of Krishna are one and the same. We are the same spiritual energy, but we are quantitatively not the same. Knowledge that one is one in quality yet different in quantity is correct transcendental knowledge, leading one to become full in himself, having nothing to aspire to nor lament over. There is no duality in his mind, because whatever he does for Krishna. Being thus freed from the platform of dualities, he is liberated even in this material world. Text 4. Sankhya Yoga Pritag Balaha Pravadanti Na Panditaha Ekamapi Ashtita Samyang Ubayor Vindate Phalam. Sankhya, analytical study of the material world. Work in devotional service. Pritak, different. Balaha, less intelligent. Pravadanti, do talk. Na, never. Panditaha, the learned. Ekam, in one. Api, even though. Ashtitaha, being situated. Samyak, complete. Ubayaho, of both. Vindate, enjoys. Phalam, result. Translation. Text 4. Only the ignorant speak of karma yoga and devotional service as being different from the analytical study of the material world. So Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga was instructed by Lord Kapila Dev to the incarnation of Krishna in the previous age. He instructed his mother, Devahuti, on the analytical study of the material world. Sankhya Yoga. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both. Purport. The aim of the analytical study of the material world is to find the soul of existence. The soul of the material world is Vishnu, or the Supersoul. Devotional service to the Lord entails service to the Supersoul. One process is to find the root of the tree, and next to water the root. The real student of Shankha philosophy finds the root of the material world, Vishnu, and then in perfect knowledge engages himself in the service of the Lord. Therefore, in essence, there is no difference between the two, because the aim of both is Vishnu. Those who do not know the ultimate end say that the learned purpose of Shankha and Karma Yoga are not the same, but one who is learned knows the unifying aim in these different processes, so ultimately culminating in Bhakti Yoga, devotional service. Text 5. Yat Shankyahi Prapyate Stanam Tad Yoga Rapi Kamyate Ekam Sankyam Cha Yogam Cha Ya Pashyati Sa Pashyati Yat what? Shankyahi. By means of Shankya philosophy, Prapyate is achieved. Stanam, place. Tat, that. Yogai, by devotional service. Api, also. Gamyate, one can attain. Ekam, one. Shankyam, analytical study. Cha, end. Yogam, action in devotion. Cha, end. Ya, one who. Pashyati, sees. Sa, he, pashyati, actually sees. Translation, text 5. One who knows that the position reached by means of renunciation can also be attained by works in devotional service, and who therefore sees that the path of works and the path of renunciation are one, sees things as they are. So it's actually a similar path. We're doing service in Krishna, because if we do service in Krishna, we are renouncing the false idea that we actually own and control those things. We are actually renouncing those things as our own, but actually as belonging to Krishna. We understand that. Purport. The real purpose of philosophical research is to find the ultimate goal of life. Since the ultimate goal of life is self-realization, there is no difference between the conclusions reached by the two processes. By Shankar philosophical research, one comes to the conclusion that a living entity is not a part and parcel of the material world. So in Shankar Yoga is the analytical study, knowing the difference between spirit and matter and who is the controller of both. We understand that we are not material. We are not part of the material world, but our body is a part of the material world. If we serve our body, we serve the desires of our body, we are not coming to the conclusion, the correct conclusion. If we understand that we are not the body, but we are actually spiritual in essence, in that we are part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, and we are meant to dovetail our life and our things that we have in the service of God, then we've come to the same conclusion that we can act accordingly, and that is the same as bhakti. Consequently, the spirit soul has nothing to do with the material world. His actions must be in some relationship with the Supreme. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. So that's a normal position. Just realizing our goal in life while we're in this material world is to reinstate our relationship, to remember our relationship. When he acts in Krishna consciousness, he is actually in his constitutional position. The first process of Shankar, one has to become detached from matter. And in the devotional yoga process, one has to attach himself to the work of Krishna. Factually, both processes are the same, although superficially one process appears to involve detachment and the other process appears to involve attachment. However, detachment from matter and attachment to Krishna are one and the same. One who can see things sees things as they are. So Arjuna is explaining, and which is a misconception by many so-called religious people, that we have to renounce things that we think belong to us. But we understand that they belong to Krishna. They actually already belong to Krishna, and we are using them in the service. We are changing our consciousness to being a me-centered, I am the Supreme Lord. I'm here to facilitate my sensual enjoyment in this material world, which I believe will bring me true happiness and contentment, but it will not. It won't, because we're not our body. So therefore, the same process is that we are simultaneously renouncing that these things are there for our own enjoyment, but they're there. We understand that they're there for Krishna's enjoyment, so therefore we can utilize those things. So the renunciation of those things and the attachment and service to using those things in the devotion are actually the same thing. They happen automatically. Once we connect to Krishna, we begin to renounce our false concept of ownership. So it's amazing. So there's nothing separate about that. Most people, there are a lot of people who think of, I won't achieve a spiritual thing unless I renounce and I don't do any action. But this is wrong. Let's see, how are we doing on time? Okay, I think we have one more verse. Text 6, Sanyash tu Mahabahu, Tunkam aptum yogataha. Yoga yukto munir brahma, na chiren adi gachati. Sanyashaha, the renounced order of life. Tu, but. Mahabaho, almighty armed one. Dukam, distress. Aptum, to be afflicted with. Ayogataha, without devotional service. Yoga yuktaha, one engaged in devotional service. Muni, thinker. Brahma, supreme. Na, without. Chilrena, delay. Adi gachati, attains. Translation. Unless one is engaged in the devotional service of the Lord, mere renunciation of activities cannot make one happy. So, that's the truth. I mean, I remember my spiritual master explaining about times where he's, been chanting with his spiritual master or chanting, just chanting with his disciples or students, and there would be people who are engaging in the impersonal path, or like Zen Buddhists, and they would have to be sitting in zazen and being hit by sticks, and they would hear the chanting of Krishna's names, and which after they were done with their meditation, they'd go run up to go chant and eat prasadam, because it was like just the mere renunciation is not making them happy. So that, if it's supposed to be like the detachment is supposed to make you happy, it doesn't make you happy because it's unpleasant. But you can engage your senses in the service of Krishna, enjoy good food and whatnot, good music and good chanting of Krishna's name. It's a very happy experience. The sages, purified by works of devotion, achieve the supreme without delay. And it's a purifying effect. And you achieve the result, the end result of coming to Krishna. There are two classes of sannyasis, or persons in the renounced order of life. The Mayavadi sannyasis are engaged in the study of Sankhya philosophy, whereas the Vaishnava sannyasis are engaged in the study of Bhagavatam philosophy, which affords the proper commentary on the Vedanta Sutras. So even the Sankhya philosophers, that Mayavadis, their conclusion is incorrect. They come to this voidist conclusion, or monist conclusion, which is not a proper commentary. The Vaishnava sannyasis come to the conclusion with Sankhya Yoga as being the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, Sri Bhagavan. The Mayavadi sannyasis also study the Vedanta Sutras, but use their own commentary called Shariraka Bhashya, written by Shankaracharya. The students of the Bhagavad schools are engaged in devotional service of the Lord according to the Panchara Triki regulations, and therefore the Vaishnava sannyasis have multiple engagements in the transcendental service of the Lord. The Vaishnava sannyasis have nothing to do with material activities, and yet they perform various activities in their devotional service to the Lord. But the Mayavadi sannyasis engaged in the studies of Shankha and Vedanta and speculation cannot relish transcendental service of the Lord. Because their studies become very tedious, they sometimes become tired of Brahman speculation, and thus they take shelter of the Bhagavatam without proper understanding. Consequently, their study of the Srimad Bhagavatam becomes troublesome. So this is, they read the Srimad Bhagavatam, try to make purports upon the Bhagavad Gita in an impersonal kind of thing, and it's troublesome because everything points to Krishna. And they have to do this sort of mental gymnastics and word gymnastics and twist things around to try to fit their own philosophical speculations. Dry speculations and impersonal interpretations by artificial means are all useless for the Mayavadi sannyasis. The Vaishnava sannyasis who are engaged in devotional service are happy in the discharge of their transcendental duties, and they have the guarantee of ultimate entrance into the kingdom of God. The Mayavadi sannyasis sometimes fall down from the path of self-realization and again enter into the material activities of a philanthropic and altruistic nature. So this happens a lot. People yogis merging into the Brahman effulgence to come to a conclusion that they are the supreme as they come down from this experience, but they still need to have a loving relationship, so they feel like they need, as God, to engage in altruistic things and have relationships with their disciples and whatnot, which are nothing but material engagements. So these are just material engagements that these yogis are engaging in, thinking that it's a spiritual activity. Therefore, the conclusion is that those who are engaged in Krishna consciousness are better situated than the sannyasis engaged in simple Brahman speculation, although they too come to Krishna consciousness after many births. Very interesting. So we will end it there at text 6, and next time we will come back to this. Thank you very much. Namaste.